All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom, the Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Now, this lesson, is going into de-dollarization, because these devils are orchestrating the collapse, basically getting rid of this paper dollar, man. They're really doing all this on purpose, to bring forth a digital monetary system, man. All right. So right now you see de-dollarization, which I'm gonna play this clip. Now, let me you have these two articles. Well, not articles, but right here, Texas gold legal tender is what I searched. It says yes, in June 2025, Texas passed House Bill 1056, making gold and silver legal tender for everyday transactions. You see? So reverting back to what? Gold, man, because gold and silver is real money, not these paper dollars, that's not real money. This fiat currency isn't real money. Okay, real money is gold and silver, man. Cattle, property, that's real wealth. Okay, not these paper dollars, man. And what they're finna do, they're finna get rid of these paper dollars. Okay, and they're finna bring in what? A digital monetary system, man. A cashless society where your purchases. We're finna get into it, man. Let's also get this. Now, this is Texas. Mind you, this is both of these are this year. Yes, in May 2025. I mean, this is Florida. The other one was Texas. Yes, in May 2025, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 999. Okay, and it's funny because 999. All right, you flip it upside down, 666. And when you go into what the market, the mark of the beast, and it goes into the number of a man. Okay, 666. Because they're finna get rid of this cash, man. They're finna get rid of this cash, ushering the digital currency, and this is where the mark of the beast comes in, man. Okay, but it says to recognize certain gold and silver coins as legal tender in the state effective July 1st, 2026. So that's next year. Okay, but man, all right, because we're finna see the dollar you lose more and more value, and we're finna see these nations continue on to ditch the dollar. Okay, all right, and circumvent the dollar, man. All right, so let me play this clip.
Continuing to ditch the US dollar, and the dollar is being replaced by gold as the reserve assets of the world. So this de-dollarization process is what's been driving up the price of gold to record highs. So I want you to know that this whole de-dollarization process, it's not a one-time event. It's not like a crashing event. It's a process. And I want to update you on the situation and tell you where it goes from here. But first, I want to explain this to you so that we're all on the same page. So let's just say that you want to store your wealth in a vault, okay? What are you going to fill up the vault with if you have to choose between these two? Are you going to fill it up with physical gold, or are you going to fill it up with IOUs written on a piece of paper? Well,
all right, so now, basically what he's going into, if you want to store wealth in a vault, which one would you choose? Will you choose this paper money, or will you choose gold? Because in today's age, you have people that save in what? US dollars. They probably got money under their mattress, money in their drawers, wherever, But see, the value of the dollar is continually going down, man. So that 100K paper dollars that you got stashed may be worth 20K, then, because 100K can't buy what 100K used to 20 years ago. 100K today is worth 20K, all right? And see, the value of the dollar is going to continue on going down. While this is why you see the price of gold going higher, the value of gold getting higher, man. You know, because real money is gold and silver, man. Real money is gold and silver. So as you have these people that understand that the value of the dollar is going down, they're ditching the dollar and buying gold and silver, man, so they could store their wealth, you know? Because if you store your wealth in dollars, all right, imagine you saved 100K, all right, in paper dollars, right? And now the value of the dollar is worth nothing. Now that 100K is best used for toilet paper, man. You know? All right? But this is why you have people, they're taking their money and they're putting it into gold and silver. They're putting it into real estate. They're putting it into land and, real wealth, man. Not these fiat currency, these paper notes. This all monopoly money, man. You know? And eventually, they're going to get rid of this cash-based system and usher in a digital system. What we're seeing is basically they're getting ready to get rid of this dollar.
I don't know about you, but here's what other countries are deciding to do. Central banks around the world are turning away from the US dollar, and instead they're buying gold as a way to store their wealth. Okay, so you see, before, central banks were buying US treasuries, like treasury bonds, and that was considered wealth. It was basically like, look at how many IOUs that I have from the US government. Like, I'm so rich, the US government owes me so much money. Like, look how much they owe me. But then these central banks, they realized that the US government could just print these paper IOUs, like trillions of them, like instantaneously. So you can call it dilution, you can call it inflation, or you can call it worthless. And central banks are now questioning whether holding these pieces of paper that say IOU on them is truly a form of wealth. Perhaps it's no more valuable than monopoly money because, again, they could just print trillions of these whenever they want.
All right, Khan. Because, back then you had the gold standard. You had the dollar attached to gold. Basically, they had to print the dollars according to the gold reserves that they had. But once they removed the dollar from the gold standard, they were just able to print dollars into infinity, man, devaluing the currency, because when there's a lot of something, naturally it devalues. When there's few of something, it becomes a rarity, it becomes valuable, man. But with all these dollars in circulation and these devils are just able to just turn on the printer, it's devaluing the dollar, man. And these central banks they're questioning, So everyone is they're going back to gold. They're going back to gold, man. All right. So Khan, now let's get the precepts. Let's just get straight into it. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he being the tabernacle of Edom, the descendants of Esau, the so-called white man, and these 1948ers, the so-called JOOs, Edomites, man. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And when you go into this word mark in the Greek word is charagma, which goes into scratch, etching, thin carved, sculptured, graven. Okay? A cutting, man. Because they're going to have to make a cutting into the flesh so you can receive this micro C-hip. All right? In their right hand or in their foreheads. This is why you have Elon Musk with the brain C-hip. Okay? Because we're in those times. This is why you have Trump with all the crypto bills, the stable coin bills, the digital assets and tokenization, blockchain technology, And this is why we're seeing them getting ready to ditch this dollar. All right. And you see them going back to gold and silver, and because they're finna get rid of this dollar, man. And what they really want to do is bring in the digital system. But all the people that are privy to these things, they're ditching the dollar. They're going into gold and silver and buying crypto and digital assets and, tokenize. They're going into these things, man. All right. To have a hedge when the dollar goes down, man. So it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, because the time we're coming into, when they get rid of this dollar, this cash-based system, okay, this paper dollar, when they get rid of this paper dollar and ushering a digital currency, all right, a cashless society, all right, you're going to need this micro CHIP to buy and sell. You're going to need this micro CHIP to make purchases, to make payments, man. All right, without it, you won't be able to operate in this society. And that is the MARK of the beast, the micro CHIP. And according to the scriptures, we are not to receive this thing even unto death, man. You see, the scriptures speak about the times that we're in. You know, the scriptures speak about the time that we're in. That's why we see all this stuff, you know, the de-dollarization and going back to gold and silver and digital assets and tokenization and blockchain technology. We're in those times, man. They're from ushering a cashless society, okay, and bringing a digital monetary system, man. Okay, and these devils, these elites are trying to bring all the wealth to themselves. They finna suck the wealth out of the middle class, you know, and there's only gonna be, all right, poor and rich, man. You know, there won't be no middle class, man. You know, but that's really the point, all right. According to the scriptures, us being Israelites, us being followers of the Lord, we are not to receive this MARK, all right, even unto death, man. That's why the scriptures say, I saw the souls of them that will be beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shine, for the word of the Most High, which did not receive the MARK in their right hand or in their foreheads, man. And they lived and reigned with a Mashiach 1,000 years, going into that first 1,000 years of the kingdom. That's why Apostle Paul said what? All right, the dead in the Mashiach shall rise first. The dead shall be raised incorruptible. Okay, and then those that live and endure to the end, Apostle Paul said what? We which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them, the martyrs and the Lord in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. You see, so whether we die or live, the Lord's elect are gonna win, man. You know, and that's really the point. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to close it out, give infinite praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, time of this truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations to